How's it going out there, everybody? Welcome to my first video on learning jazz drumming. The first thing that we're going to talk about in today's video is going to be speed. We're all at different skill levels, so the one of the big keys, the very first thing we're going to think about here is what speed level are we at, and comfortably, meaning we can play at this speed for 300 bars and not really run out of gas. And then we're going to move up maybe 20 beats over that. So if your optimum speed is 100 beats per minute, by the end of our work here, you should be at 120. Well, not should be, because that's I wouldn't say that, but your goal should be 20 beats higher than where you're at. 10 beats per month ultimately is what I'm getting at. That's my general rule. And you can do it faster, obviously, but if you do, you're not going to let your muscles learn it the way that it should, and you're going to you'll lose it. It's all about technique here. So we're going to be finding our speed and starting slow, moving slowly up the ladder as we climb in BPMs. And again, because it's about speed in drumming does not come from muscle, it comes from technique. And you need to develop that technique, and repetition is what seals that technique and sears it into your mind, so that when you start doing it, it's like I was when I started my triple strokes again, I talked about in the other video, and they were I was getting them back. It's your muscle memory is amazing, but we need to let it do its work, and we can't overload it. It's kind of like if you're working out. If you start out bench pressing 100 pounds. 100 pounds. I'm about to say 100 pounds per minute now. But if you start out bench pressing like 100 pounds, you're not going to go and move to 300 right away. You're going to have to climb the ladder slowly to let your muscles build, or you end up injuring yourself. And it's the same thing with drumming, except you're not going to necessarily physically injure yourself, but you're going to hurt yourself in your drumming. Because getting the technique as a foundation, the speed will come. It's hand in hand. But rock solid technique is the very start of it all. So that's why we start slow and build slow. Next, we're going to talk about counting. The exercises that we're doing is going to be using 16th notes and 8th notes and quarter notes and 8th note triplets. So we're going to need to learn how to count those out. Basically because, we're going to be, when you're using BPMs and times and everything, and you're trying to work towards a goal, you need to know how to count. And especially counting will help your body sync everything in too. It's kind of crazy. I never used to do that when I was younger, but as I got older, I started working on counting out loud and in my head as I was doing my exercises and playing. And it definitely helps with your timing, 100%. So, but you also need it to do the exercises. So if you take a look up here real quick, you'll see we have our 8th note triplets, and we're going to count those 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's basically that. That's how we're going to count those. So we're going to get rid of that, and we are now going to bring in our 16th notes and quarter notes and 8th notes all into one. So quarter notes, we're just going to count the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes, we're going to be doing the numbers and the ends. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And for the 16th notes, we are going to count them, the whole shebang up here. It's going to be 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and that's basically how we're going to count. So when we do paradiddles at 16th notes, which all of our single strokes, our double strokes, and our paradiddles, that's all going to be 16th notes. Our triplets and triple stroke rolls and paradiddle diddles, they are going to be eighth note triplets. So those are really the two main ones that we are going to be counting here for the beginning of this course. Later on, when we start getting into more stuff, there's actually going to end up being probably a few mini and one entire lesson on reading music, because it's another thing that's a very good thing to learn, and as part of the jazz drumming structure, it definitely is a good thing to know. So we're going to move on now. I'm going to come back because my memory's low and I got a button take out and redo. So I'll be back to talk about the next topic here in a second. So one thing I also wanted to mention along with counting is breathing. We want to make sure that we're breathing while we're doing these exercises. I know, especially myself, I have a tendency when I'm getting a little bit faster than I should be, maybe, I'll hold my breath, and I'm kind of, but it happens, and I mean, hey, it happens, but the goal is to try to breathe through, and it always makes it better. Breathing is sometimes awkward at first, but it helps. Breathing on the one, usually, is kind of how I try to do it when I think consciously with it, and so it's just a good exercise to get into. Next thing I wanted to talk about here real quick is accuracy. That's a big thing. Like, you want to try to have a fair amount of accuracy in where your stick is hitting your drum. One of the things that I do, you see me using this is the practice pad I've been using in these recent videos, and I actually have another practice pad that I use most of the time, but the main reason that I pulled this out and am using it and for these things is because a small pad like this is a 6-inch, accuracy. You use a small pad, a small hitting surface, your accuracy will because when you move to the toms and they get bigger, you'll start finding that if you put a new head on and you start going around with your workouts, you're going to have a little kind of bullseye hole around in the middle of each of those toms, and that's kind of what you want. You don't want there to be hits all over the place. I mean, if there is, it's not going to kill you. But again, jazz drumming is about precision, about texture, about rudiments and dynamics, and just so that accuracy is something that is a good thing to work on. So for me, I'm kind of locked in with it because I use this pad for so long. But again, I just wanted to show it to you guys for a quick minute. As a way to if you are wandering around, like it doesn't take nothing but looking at your kit and look at where the marks are on your toms. And that's whether you have an electronic kit or a an acoustic kit. I played acoustic drums for 17 years, and then moved on to electronics just in the past 2 years. So, you know, either way, you're going to see on the toms where your sticks are going. And it's always good to try to call a huddle on it, as my tab would say, so to speak. So now we're going to start looking into the, you know, just a real quick going over of our exercises. And coming up here in a second is going to be our video on paradiddles, single strokes, double strokes, and we're going 110 beats per minute up here. So it's nothing crazy fast, nothing crazy slow, just kind of just under middle of the road. I would kind of consider 120 middle of the roadish. But some things that we're gonna. This might not have been the best angle. I'm actually, as an aside, I'm gonna be kind of trying to bone up how I do the videos at some point here, make them a little bit more professional. But if you look at the video, you can kind of look at the stick height, look at how the sticks kind of go back to the same area each time. They're not up and down and all over the place. It's just a kind of steady movement. Again, this was kind of my warm-up that I was doing, so it's, you know, it could be better as far as timing goes, but for the sense of what we're doing here, I did single strokes for about 12 bars, double strokes 12 bars, paradiddles 12 bars, and you know, it was enough just to kind of show you guys real quick the stick height thing, and we're going to go and move on to the Paradiddle Diddles now. These are the ones that this is kind of going to be the first of getting into the meat of jazz, because the Paradiddle Diddle is basically the jazz ride pattern. And as we play right, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, left, and then we're going to go the other way, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, right. We're going to kind of slowly work that up we're going to make that kind of the focal point of our routine for the lessons right now. And it's going to be just getting that triplet feel, building up some speed with it. So as we go through the Paradiddle Diddle, that's kind of what we're going to do. As we move through it, and we get a little bit better at it, we're going to do the same thing as we're going to do with the Paradiddle later on in the semester. With this one, we're going to work on shifting the accent, you know, all around it. So, and like I said, we're going to be doing it both sides and getting a little bit of a proficiency in our, you know, our paradiddle diddling around the kit, because you're going to find, you start YouTubing, you know, jazz fills, jazz soloing, just different stuff. There is a ton of things that you can do built around the Paradiddle Diddle. It's almost like it was jazz's, like, baby rudiment, kind of like. There's just so many different things you can do surrounding the Paradiddle Diddle that it's definitely a good one to bone up on. And you know, different people agree or not, but I do think it's something to be working out on both sides is a good thing. I'm way more strong right, left, right, right than left, right, left, left right now. But that's, you know, actually I should have wrote that down, because coming to my head, that's another one of the goals that I had in this this road here, is building that up as well. So we're going to pause here for a quick second, and then I'm going to come back. I also wanted to mention real quick that it was 65 BPMs that I was doing those Paradiddle Diddles at in that video, and I started out right, and I switched it right into the lefts. So the next thing was the last part of the big four, which is the triple stroke roll. And the reason I save this for a minute is because that's kind of one it's kind of an advanced rudiment. If you're a flat out beginner, you might not want to tackle that one just yet. You might want to give it till next month. Just get yourself a little bit familiar with the paradiddles and double strokes and single strokes first. Depends on how you feel. It was one that took me a while to get down. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to separate it out, because what I ended up doing when it became my problem, I'm left-handed, so my right hand was just, I could not get the triple. It was horrible, and I was practicing, and it was like when my wrist was controlling everything, it was cool, but once I had to start bouncing and fingering it, it just kind of, it got too weird, awkward for me with my right hand. That's when I started working on like different finger strengthening techniques and stuff, and that's another lesson. But what I wanted to get at is bring up these triple strokes up here, and we're going to see here, depending on what hand you are, one of your hands will most likely be able to perform the triple. So what I did, and what you'll find with your body, is mirroring. If you can, I played it with my left hand, like I'm doing up here. And eventually what I did was I just kind of started letting my right hand follow and right along with my left. So as opposed to playing the whole da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, it was just da-da-da, da-da-da. And eventually, from doing that, my right hand just kind of started mirroring my left naturally. I didn't really have to tell it what to do. It just started kind of doing it. And it's another cool thing with just the body and muscles and all. So that's kind of why I wanted to put that on there, is just because it, it was pretty cool. And sometimes there could be one thing that's holding you back. And if you just go about it a certain way, you'll get over that hump. Like back a few videos, I was talking about the accent, and there was just one accent point on the paradiddle that was crushing me. And boning up on just that one part allowed me to smooth. Because the thing was, is while I was doing the rest of the paradiddle, I could do it fairly, but I was thinking about, every time around, I got to come to that other. So it was just screwing me up everywhere. But a little bit of confidence in that one section helped it. And it's the same thing with those triple strokes. Once I built up just a little bit of confidence in that right hand, I was able to take the training wheels off and just start doing, the regular triple stroke and building them up. Again, I'm not masters on any of these. I have much work to do, but it just, in my road, in my journey, and with my goal points, it was just cool to see how that worked out. All right, so with that, we're going to move on to the last part, which is the feet. I know I didn't throw in a demonstration of the feet when we were doing the warm-ups last time. So I just wanted to do, the feet real quick and show you the feet. And you're going to see I'm doing this heel down. It definitely helps build up ankles, for one. And with jazz, there's a lot of what's called feathering the bass drum, which you're going to be playing a lot of heel down bass in jazz. But ultimately, this goes way back in the day. I did this when I was first learning like metal and like death metal and stuff like that, and I really had to get my double bass up. The cats were like putting, and me too, were putting ankle weights on and just doing all kinds of stuff to try to build that speed. But I found one of the things that really got me to the high speeds was I worked on just playing the double bass flat foot. And I got that pretty quick. And when I started playing heels up, my ankles were just fly. And the thing is with double bass, it's the ankles that your real speed is going to come from. And if you heel down, will really build up those muscles in that area to help your ankle just really get good. So, but for two, now I play heel down mainly because my back just is it hurts too bad for me to do heel up. I haven't played heel up in a minute. But I did about a year ago, maybe. I was at Guitar Center and I got onto an acoustic kit for a few minutes and played heel down. And I mean, you know, a lot of people say heel up gives you a lot more power, and I mean, it's a little bit more power. But to be honest, heel down, I could play about maybe 85% of what I could play heel up and save a lot of energy. So it just, you know, it's turned into my preference out of a disability, but I'm just saying it's a good way to practice. Even if you're playing heel up all the time, you can speed yourself up by learning heel down. So that's about it. We got, you know, you saw we had the same, did paradiddles and, you know, double strokes and single strokes on the feet and triple strokes on the feet. I didn't do the triplets on the feet. I should have demonstrated that. I'm sorry, but it's just going to be right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, left, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's going to be it. I'm not going to do the videos this way. I know I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday being videos, but I want to make sure that this series is accessible to beginning drummers as well as intermediate drummers, advanced drummers, whoever. And those of us who might be able to move on to the other stuff, you can certainly work ahead if you'd like. We're going to be using probably the first few pages, 3 or 4 pages of four-way coordination for the first part here. We're going to get into the art of bop drumming a little bit later, but or you can get into that yourself as well. But to keep it beginner friendly, I'm trying to just slowly move into stuff here so that we can all kind of move forward together in the future. But that being said, the main focal point right now is doing what we had already talked about. We had the big four, you know, single strokes, double strokes, paradiddles, and triple strokes. Paradiddle diddles both ways, and you know, the triplets on the feet. And that's where we're going to concentrate for at least this first week. Next week we may start to implement some other little things, but for this week we're just going to concentrate on that stuff. So, I wanted to just mention real quick that the exercise that I just did on the feet, that was at 90 BPMs. So that's where I'm going to start back off at, because you find sometimes you're good, sometimes you're bad, and with me, I was faster than I thought that I would be on my hands, but slower than I thought that I would be on my feet. I thought that I'd be able to start out at 100 beats per minute, but it's just a little too choppy. So I bumped myself down to 90, and I'm going to start back at 90 and, you know, move from there and work my way back up. But so that's it, like I said, and you know, we'll see you next time. Next lesson we might have some different stuff incorporated, but we're gonna, like I said, just start slow and build and try to gain some confidence. And like I said, the main jazz portions of our lesson right now is going to be the paradiddle diddle and the triplets on the feet. Those two exercises they're gonna move us in the direction that we want to go jazz wise, because we're gonna start getting the triplet feel. We got the jazz ride pattern going. we're going to start. It's a good foundation to start with. So work on that stuff throughout the week. Work on the big four. Work on the Paradiddle Diddles. Work on all of it on your feet, and include triplets on your feet. And we'll have another video up next week. See you next time. Bye bye.